Hello, it's Simone. Welcome to another Snippets from my Desk video. I went on a hike this morning with my husband and my puppy, and I'm tired now. And I didn't even really know what to talk about. So I might not really talk about much today. I finished one book this past week. And I talked about that last week already. So I finished A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles. I would have said Amor, but maybe that's my German pronunciation of the word. And I said in the beginning of this year, I feel like somewhere around book 16, maybe. I don't know when exactly I started it. It feels like it must have been somewhere around here that I started A Gentleman in Moscow, and it was really hard to get in. And once I finally got into the book, I had to return it. I wasn't able to renew it. And at that point, I was at 68% in the book. And because I felt like I didn't really grasp much of the most recent percent that I had listened to when I got the book back from the library, I started at 50%-ish. And it was just amazing. It felt like it was the most literary book that I have read so far in a long time, definitely since school. And it was extremely character-driven. Nothing really happens in the book. There is just the story of Alexander Rostov, the gentleman in Moscow, and how he is under house arrest in the Metropole Hotel. And that's all this book is about. But I loved it. I loved the almost lyrical text. There were so many quotes that, well, if I had read this book in paper format, this would have been one of the first books that I had felt driven to underline sentences, paragraphs, segments of the book that just felt extremely well written. There was so much wisdom in between the lines. I loved the literary techniques. Alliteration, it wasn't one of those. All of those things that you learn in school, those things were represented in that book. And to me, as I have never really loved analyzing texts and books and stories and finding all of those metaphors and all that things in the text and interpreting it and such, I have never enjoyed that in high school at all. And it was not something that I was looking for in my adult reading life. But this was the first time that I listened to a book where I thought and felt that I would love to dig deeper. So that must mean something. Something else that was extremely amazing were the food descriptions in the book. There's lots of things going on about food, and I I was amazed that I was, first of all, able to get into the book after it took me quite a while to get accustomed to the narration style. And then once I was in there, it just felt such a good reading experience. So, and I'm looking for something that I can use as a ruler. It was, I think, almost the longest. I would need to figure out how long tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow was. But to me, it was about 19 hours listening time. And I stuck with it. And that's, wow. That's not something that happens all the time. Most literary book. I have read voluntarily, maybe. Okay. So I can highly recommend it. It took, at the end, it took some turns that I totally did not expect, but it was overall well packaged and, tie a bow sort of book. There was nothing out of the ordinary happened there. I don't really have much to talk about this week. I feel like maybe it's because of the hike. I have some notes and I don't even know what I want to use as embellishments. I don't even know where my box is with all my stuff. Let me look for that. Here we go. Maybe I can talk about 31 pens. No, I don't even know the name of my own hashtag. It's 31 inks, 31 pens, 31 letters. So, I can talk about that. Maybe, possibly. Maybe I can use this. I think I want to use this. I could put this for the audiobook. What else do I have? My 31 inks, 31 days. No, still wrong. Can't seem to get it together. Did you know what? I totally forgot to look for the Aurora Borealis that was happening, but maybe I can document that. I slept through it. I wanted to set an alarm because I go to bed so early. What's this? Actually, maybe I'll use this instead of this. So I was going to, it's not on here, but I thought maybe I could document the audiobook, finishing the audiobook. Maybe I'll leave both of those out. I started another audiobook. I have 3 right now from my library. And I actually don't know which ones they are. This one is with a hat. It's so warm here right now, so maybe I need to take that out for now. Oh my god, look at the snail down here. So I have 3. I don't know the names of the other 2 that I have from the library right now, but I finished The Gentleman in Moscow on Monday. And then I started a new book. I learned, I think I mention that every time, I learned that I need to give, especially when a book is really good, I need to give myself a little bit of space between the books. And so I started a book on Friday, and that was The Wishing Game. And maybe there's something here. This one looks nice. We saw a snake today. So now I'm not chill when hiking anymore. By Meg Schaefer, the book. That's what I'm talking about, the Wishing Game book. And the problem with this book is not necessarily the book. I think the reason why I put this on hold and why I wanted to listen to it was because it has a similar vibe as, for instance, it feels like a treasure hunt book, but the narrator is not really what I'm looking for. I still need a sticker for my 31 pen inks thing. And I don't think I will find it here. So I love these labels. That's why I skip over them all the time. Man. Okay, maybe next week I need to make sure that I use this. But I feel like I've pulled out so many things already. So what else do we have in here? Ink. I want something that can represent my ink and pen stuff. I also want to show you what I did last week. Man, brain. I can't even talk today. So I filmed my, well, here is something that I can use. Okay, so I'm not sure if I want to use this. Okay. Just going to stick this down here. And I closed this earlier, and when I feel it, and it feels like there's a lot of stickers down here most of the time, but not so much up here. Do you need me to take care of the dog? Okay. But I need water. I'll be back. Totally discombobulated video. But that's just how this video is going to be. Now I'm looking for scissors. There are some. I don't want this to be a square, so I'm cutting it out. I was going to talk about 31 inks, 31 pens, and 31 letters. And what I'm going to tell you is that I filmed a video yesterday that is very... I know that I'm known for just letting the camera roll and talking whatever comes out of my mouth, just like this one. But that video, I don't know how to properly film and outline the video for that video format just yet. How am I going to talk about the pens that I used that past week? And so it felt very discombobulated and very long. It's almost an hour long. And I was very tempted to just chuck it and film it again. But then I remember saying quite a few things that I thought are really important, is a little bit over the top here, but that I feel like I probably would forget to talk about when I would refilm the video. And so I decided to just keep it. So that's coming out tomorrow. And I'm not so sure if I like that or not, but we'll see. It's happening anyway, whether I like it or not. And then I also, in that video that you will see tomorrow, or if you're not a Ko-fi member, a couple weeks ago, I believe, is my snippets of my desk public schedule right now. So I will link it in the description box below. When this goes live, then the 31 inks, 31 pens, 31 letters video for week number 2 will be linked in the description box below. And you probably might have already seen it. But in that video, I talked about how I'm not excited about the inks that I'm pulling from my ink project Inkdown box, which is a huge box that had 127 samples at the beginning of the month in it. And every time I pulled one, I felt discouraged is not the right word, but I didn't expect to feel so meh about the inks that I pulled. And that kind of made me wonder what was wrong, because I really love the thing, the actual doing. It's just every time I pull it, I'm like, oh no, really, that ink? And so I talked about the feelings that I have towards this specific problem. And then in the afternoon, once edit is a little bit much about talking about that specific video. I didn't edit it. I just put it on YouTube and scheduled it and made a title image. But after I had little bit of downtime in the afternoon, and I thought, you know what? I could go through that box and maybe I'll pull some inks that I enjoy, and then I'll make a smaller pull from this box now sampling, and then have the big box with all the other ink still coming up sometime in the fall or so. I don't know. I will talk about what I'm going to do with all of my ink samples after this month of May when I get there, because then I think I can have a better understanding of if this is something that I want to continue doing. So I went through and pulled out, I just grabbed a handful of samples and then I looked at them and I said, oh yes, meh, 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 yes, meh. And so I pulled aside all the meh, and then I went through the meh ones one more time to decide whether I would throw them back for a later time or whether they are so meh to me right now that I will give them away. Because, and here's the thought that I had, unless it's an ink that is completely sought after, which I would consider dark lilac Lamy Dark Lilac from ages ago. I would consider maybe the Mont Blanc James Perney and Son ink that people were so excited about for a little while. And I also got my hands on a sample of that ink. Inks like that, I would consider special inks that you can never get anymore. Maybe I would keep those even if I felt mad about them right now, but any other ink sample, if I really want to use it in a year, I can just spend $5 for the sample. And it's better than feeling some kind of feeling, maybe overwhelm towards my whole ink stash, than just giving them away. So what I'm currently thinking about is finding an ink that, interesting. So I have these inks, these pens right here, and this one is also one that I want to clean out. But these are the inked pens that I currently still have. It's my Esterbrook Esteen Scarlet with the broad sig nib and Tachia Ume Murasaki in it, not on it. Then the Schoen Design Ultim full-size fountain pen with the Monarch nib. This is just such a great nib, and I had a fun experience using this with shimmer ink, which you're not supposed to do. Not here. When was that? Here. I loved how this turned out. And so I want to use another fountain pen for my titles. So I was considering this one or the one from today, which is also super wet. You can even see the broadness of this nib. It's a Lamy 14K broad nib. There's a lot of tipping on this bad boy. It's filled with Diamond Brandy Snap, which is, I think, my favorite. It would go really well in this pen. Is it ochre, honey color? It has the perfect amount of red. This is the color. It doesn't lean towards green. It's just... And I was afraid this morning that it wouldn't hold up and I would be super disappointed because I haven't used it in a while, but nope. It's still as amazing as it is. But I am going for Tachia Ume Murasaki, which is this ink right here that I used on Friday. So, and I think I'm going to write in all caps. So, yeah, so I went through, and I'm writing National Honor Society, and then let me just, induction with, I should have done, whoa, isn't this super cool? So, if this is a society that you feel like students should be a member of, let me know in the in the comments below why you feel that way. Because I'm not so sure that it's necessary, and I wonder if because I'm not, as you know, I'm not I didn't grow up in the United States. Man, I wasn't able to say this correctly. Didn't grow up in the US educational system. And I remember when I was a high school student as an exchange student here, my sister from the family that I lived with, she was in the National Honor Society, and it was important to be in there. But I don't know if that still holds up. My son was inducted into the National Honor Society this past week, and That's why I'm questioning the necessity of this whole thing, because it was quite funny to witness. I don't believe that the teachers talked to the students who led through the ceremony about how they wanted them to conduct that ceremony. And so there were quite a few mishaps, and it was funny. So, National Honor Society induction. What a joke. And I think I'm just going to leave space to fill this in later, because I feel like I don't really want to write this on camera. I think I know what I want to write, and then I think I'm going to I don't really know how to write about fountain pen shame. I wanted to write about it, but I don't know what I that sounds weird. What I mean by that, because I know what I mean by that. But I don't know if I can put it together in just a few words. And if you skipped through my 31 inks, 31 pens, 31 letters, and if you're interested on my thoughts about all of that, the intention of culling a collection, what my intentions were, what I learned from it, because I'm not 100% sure that it came out in the actual video that I shared on May 8th. I'm going to link that in the description box below as well. But I talked about that and how there is nothing wrong with having a really small and having a really big and having anything in between that fountain pen collection. The size of the collection, and I'm going to make a little caveat, as long as they all bring you joy, doesn't really matter. And even if for some reason they don't bring you joy and it doesn't affect your happiness with all the other pens, there's nothing wrong with having pens that don't bring you joy in your collection, in my opinion. For me, it's different in the sense that now I'm talking about this, but I'm going to link the video, and at the end of the video, and I'm talking with my hands again, I'm talking quite extensively about all this and how I feel like it goes a little bit hand in hand, shaming people for having a large collection, and also the need to cull a collection. I don't feel like there is a need for anybody else besides myself to judge how many pens I have in my collection. And when I judge myself, I still need to question my motives behind the judging. And only then will I get to the deeper issue that is behind my own judgment. And if it's justified, and I think, yeah, I don't need 35, 150, 360 pens in my collection, I can get rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then I should do this. But if I only feel like that because I saw somebody else talk about this, then I really need to figure out why I feel that way. And in that thing is, it's still not my right to judge what somebody else does with their money. And so if somebody else purchases 2 pens per week, 2 expensive pens per week, then maybe their income and their means are just different than mine. And I don't see that there should be And that's something that we all need to learn and work on ourselves. I can be happy for that person without feeling envious about that and without feeling guilt or making them feel guilty for sharing that joy, because every pen that I receive, I feel joy about. If I don't do that anymore, then maybe I should, again, think about why this pen is coming into my collection. So, I want to write about something, and I don't know where. Oh, here. I'm just going to hide user from. Okay. I don't even really want to talk about this. I'm just going to write this here and give myself a motivational. And because there's purple here, there's purple here, I'm going to use this purple heart and going to put this right there. And then I'm going to write one sentence below. So that gives me space for the hike. And I want to write, I think, I don't know. I saw other people putting their pens right here, like their caps. I like that. I'm not really sure if I like posting my SDs. I feel like they're just this one tad smidgen too short to not post. But then, I don't know. I'm going to do Tom Cook Trail. And I'm going to write a lot down here about that. And maybe I also want this little bee up here because I can. So if then I have space here. What else did I want to write about? Oh, yes. I think in the in-between sounds right. I'm going to lift that little bee right up because also I don't really know what is happening with me right now, but I need to manage my Discord use. I think the reason why this happened is because so many members joined recently. And because I am the person who this server belongs to, I feel like, wow. My husband and my son are ripping out carpet in one of the bedrooms upstairs. And, well, so I put this here. I'm not really sure that I like this. I hope I can, because of the writing, I can make this better, work better. I feel like this is weird, but maybe if what I'm writing here will make sense and will make this look cohesive. I am so constantly checking Discord, and I don't like that. Especially when I'm at work. I can do that. It's not like I'm interfering with my work, but it does somehow still interfere. So I'm not prohibited to use my phone. That's what I'm trying to say. But I don't know, it makes me feel super edgy, like as if I'm almost addicted to it. If I'm not constantly checking it, I'm missing something. And so I deleted Discord from my phone. But then I also wasn't able to easily upload some photos when I allowed myself the time to use Discord. And so that didn't work. And then somebody else mentioned that they used focus mode for these types of situations. And I think that's amazing. I actually just don't know how it works, so I need to figure out what I'm going to do with that. So I have this sticker, and I also have these stickers, and I'm wondering which ones I should use. Even though I love this one, it looks so cute. I feel like this works better with the weird things that I have going on here. And actually, so let me put this right here first. I think what I want to add here first is the book. And even though I originally thought, what else do I want to write about? I want to write about Project Inkdown. Oh, fountain pen shame. Maybe I'm not going to add this here. Even though I talked about it right now, I'll not add it. So if I put this book here, this one is cool too. You know, like really, do you have to overthink everything, Simone? I do not know. It feels like I have to. Maybe I'll use this next time. I think I'm going to use the cats. For the book, and I want to put that on the top. But I'm also thinking that maybe what I'm going to do is, so I'm going to put that here, even though in my design brain I feel like it should be here. But I feel like this, having this here and then building the page the same way, I shouldn't. So what I'm thinking of doing is maybe cutting out these flowers and then basically creating like a dandelion field where the cassette player is inside, if that makes sense. Like so, you know? I think that looks really cool. And I like that a lot. Not sure if I'm going to use or need more than this one that is left here. I could put that right here, and one here, and one right here. Do I need one more? One of the little ones down here somewhere? Yeah, I think so. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Right there. Yep. Okay, I think I'm gonna start sticking things down now. So Oh my God, really? Sorry for hitting the camera. So there.
Theo, lauf mal ein bisschen im Zimmer rum. Danke.
Okay, what else? Is there anything else I can tell you? What? It is bad, yes. But your dad just said it's not really that bad, so.
Ich komm gleich. Hier kommt noch ein Ding drüber. That will hopefully dampen the sound between the.
Okay. If you say so. What the actual fuck am I doing here? So I need this to go right here so that this is not how this was supposed to be. You know what? I'm just going to put this right here. So there we go. Then I'll use this one right here. Yes, they're taking out the carpet and they're going to put in probably vinyl flooring. But yeah, we'll see how that is going to work out because clearly we have different expectations of how quiet it needs to be underneath. And so we will see. We will see. Yes. What?
You know if we still have masks somewhere?
I believe you do, but I don't know where. Okay, I feel like I laid this out much nicer than how I stuck it down, but that is just how this is going to be. Oh, I have another question for you guys. If you have dogs, especially if you have larger dogs like Labrador retrievers, golden retrievers, dogs that are that size or even bigger, and especially if you have black-coated dogs that are this size, tell me about the heat and how it affects them and how you move them when it's really hot outside, because I don't really know if I never really thought about that it, well, yes, I thought about how the hot asphalt would affect my puppy's paws. I am totally aware of that, but for some reason, I never thought that you shouldn't, yes, in the morning and stuff, but I heard somewhere that you shouldn't take your puppy outside when it's hotter than 85, and that's even dangerous. And so I'm a little confused about that right now, and I don't like how this is turning out, but I'm just going to persevere and carry on. So a gentle, and I think I'm going to write even more about this book than I did in my reading journal, because this will make, if I have a book that leaves such a big impression on me, then I don't have a problem like reserving space in my weekly journal for it. But I don't want to create the expectation that I have to write about every book in such a manner. So I'm going to do that. And then where did I put the ink bottle thing? Here. I'm not excited. And it irritates me. Okay, so that's that. And then, so I talked about the hike, and then I will write about the rest of yesterday down here and maybe some more. But I wanted to show you last week so that you can get a glimpse at how it turned out, because I think it actually turned out really fabulous. As you can see, I love filling up the pages. That's totally me. Oh, I really like how this turned out. So I'm really, I want to fill this up now first before I continue adding last bits and pieces to it. I think what I'm going to do is add this just to say that there was a aurora borealis visible all over the world, and I didn't catch them, but it's still nice to commemorate this. And I love that this is so blue and greenish, because the colors of an aurora borealis are like pink and these blue hues similar to this. And so I think that would be fun. And then lastly, I will talk about my son's regional competition. He did not make it to divisionals, so unfortunately for him, but I think he still had an awesome day, so that's cool. And then maybe I'll add the renovating stuff that is happening above my head right now, and I will call it quits. I thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I'm not really sure that I like how this is turning out, but I will, as I said, I will persevere, and sometimes the black ink and filling it up will pull it together more than I can see right now. And even if at the end of this whole spread I will think that I don't like it, then you know what the good thing is? I can just turn the page and start a new spread in a different way and experiment some more. And then maybe this one will be much better than the way that I feel about this now. Okay. I think I'm done. Yeah, I'm done. Thanks so much for watching. I hope to see you in another video soon. Until then, bye.